Hi everybody, welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds. It's that time of year when the hummingbirds are arriving and I need to change my hummingbird nectar today, and I got a request from YouTube saying, Mark, why don't you take us through how to really properly mix and give us the options for hummingbird nectar. Okay, perfect. You know what hummingbird nectar is for us is sugar water. And it is providing a source of energy for the hummingbirds. They're getting a lot of nectar from the flowers that are blooming. They eat insects also, but a good dependable hummingbird feeder that gives them a place to feed is an excellent addition to your yard. Plus you get to see them, up close, and if you're lucky enough, you'll get a male to claim your hummingbird feeder as the center of his territory to help him to attract females. Now, my hummingbird feeder of choice, I love the little Humzinger Little Fancy from Aspect, my favorite bird feeder company, and I've talked about it in other videos. I love it because the sugar water stays down here at the bottom. It's hard for bees to get down into the nectar. It's the easiest clean, which I just did. I took it apart, did all the cleaning, and I'm ready to refill it now. So that is my hummingbird feeder choice. There's lots out there, and I'm sure you have yours. So what are our options when it comes to that sugar water? Well, we have there's lots of commercially available packets, and believe it or not, this is really sugar in here. Now, this one also has some artificial coloring in it, and people ask all the time, does the hummingbird nectar need to be red? And my answer is no, you do not. They don't know. Have you ever seen your hummingbird fly up to your feeder and take his eye and look inside the hole to see what color the nectar is? No. Now, as long as the feeder is red, or even just the flowers are red, that's a good thing. And they'll feed on all color flowers, so white flowers and all. We stay away from the color yellow in hummingbird feeders because we know that it attracts bees. And one of the reasons that hummingbirds like red flowers and orange flowers is that bees do tend to shy away from those colors, so they're more assured that they're going to find nectar in those red and orange flowers. So that's why hummingbird feeder companies use the red color. Now, so no, you don't need to put a red sugar water in your feeder. Some people do it because it's easier for them to see from out, inside their kitchen as to where the nectar is. But no, why add something to the mixture that doesn't need to be there, and it doesn't need? Can it cause harm to hummingbirds? Believe me, there's very little data that can support that. But the belief is, why put it in there if you don't need it? So there's also lots of other things like ready to pour. This is somebody who's already mixed up sugar water for you, and all you have to do is just pour this into your feeder. We have people who's very dedicated to that. But I'm old school and I've been doing this for a long time, and how I do it is I mix my own. And first things first, only use just white cane sugar, granular sugar. Don't use brown sugar. Don't use powdered sugars. Never ever use honey. Don't use anything that's artificial sweeteners. Just plain sugar. That's all you need. And water. And you're good. So just regular white sugar. And there's plenty of cool devices to help you do this kind of thing. This is a Nectarade pitcher. I love this one. We moved back in December, and I can't find my Nectarade pitcher in all the boxes that we're going to find it one of these days when we're unloading. But how this actually works, it's got a paddle, and there's actually two slots in it. One says O and one says H, because Oriole nectar is not as sweet as hummingbird nectar. So what you do is slide the paddle down which one you want, and you fill this side with sugar, and then the other side you fill with hot water so that the line is equal. Perfect mixture for you. Pull that out, stir it up, pour a little bit, put this in your refrigerator. Great little device. I love mine. Like I said, I've used it now for several years, but I can't find it. So I'm doing it the old-fashioned way right now. Another little device. This is a little sugar shaker, they call it. It's got the lines on there for you to fill up to there with your sugar, and then fill up to there with your hot water. Shake it up, you mix it up, pour, stick it in the refrigerator up to 2 weeks. Those are great little devices. So I have an old Tupperware container, a little mixing cup that has 2 cups of water in it, hot tap water. I do not boil my water. I just get it hot enough to break down the sugar crystals. and I just poured in half a cup of grained sugar into the container and then mix it up. And that hot water breaks down the sugar crystals. Then I can pour this into the hummingbird feeder, then put the rest of it in the refrigerator and keep it up to 2 weeks. Now, I've said many times, what you're basically making is clear Kool-Aid. So you want to keep it good and cool. Would you take and make a picture of Kool-Aid for your kids and then take it out and sit it on the deck railing in the hot sun and let the sun beat down on it and then expect to go out there and pour Kool-Aid 2 or 3 or 4 days in a row? You wouldn't do that. And that's what you're asking those hummingbirds to do. And that sugar water will start to turn, especially if they get a lot of direct sunlight and especially once temperatures get up above 75, 80 degrees. You really should change that sugar water every 2 days when it gets good and hot. Now, that's one of the reasons why I like the little fancy, because I can just put a little bit in here, and those hummingbirds' tongue is longer than their bill, and they usually don't stick their bill into the hole very far, just at the point, and they lap like a dog. Their tongue reaches the bottom of that. And one of my fun things I always do with the kids is tell them, where does that hummingbird store all that tongue? Well, it's literally on top of his head. So when you think about it, the tongue comes out here, and there's a muscle in the back of the throat that pulls the tongue in, and that actually goes up on top of the skull, under the skin, on the top of the head, and it goes back and forth, which is really, really cool. And yes, they lap like a dog, and then they don't drink like a straw, like a lot of people think, because of that bill shape of theirs. So 4 parts water to 1 part sugar, no food coloring needed. It can keep it up to 2 weeks in the refrigerator. After that, you probably want to take it out and make fresh if they've not been going through it. Well, a piece of advice I give this time of year, especially in our area, is those hummingbirds are coming in now, but if you don't have them or they've gone, and maybe you saw them and then they disappear by the end of May, you're probably not going to see them again until the end of summer. So instead of having to change your nectar out every day if they're not coming, I recommend pouring out your nectar and clean your feeder up and putting out empty. That way, if a hummingbird does come by in July and by chance and he tries your feeder, there's no sugar water in it, he just thinks, oh, this flower has no nectar, and he moves on. Better that than getting in bad nectar that you forgot to change because it's not going through it fast enough. But mark your calendars, especially here in the Kansas City area. Remember, you guys to the north, you're going to be a little bit later, you guys down the south a little bit earlier, but mark your calendars about the last week of July, because that's when the babies will have fledged and they're going to be hitting all the feeders. And really into early August is when we started getting the northern birds will start to move down, the males from up north. So August is our best month in this area. You guys extrapolate from where you are, but if you feed all year long, all summer long, that's fine, especially if you got activity. But if you don't, that's an easy way to do it. Just mark your calendar for the last week of July, mix up some fresh, put your feeder back out, and you'll probably get more hummingbirds than you'll ever see in August, because that's when all the babies and the adults are still around. So that's my lesson on mixing up nectar. Hope you liked it. Thanks for that suggestion. Please send in more of those, because I want to talk about what you want me to talk about. So if you would, give us a like, give us a share. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Until then, come on, let's talk birds.